Welcome everybody to Cutler's Hall in the heart of Sheffield. It's press conference day ahead of Saturday night's card live on Sky Sports. True Grit. Callum Simpson, Barnsley man, comes to Sheffield, where again he'll sell out the arena. His pulling power is something else. We saw that in Barnsley, outdoors of the football ground over the summer. He defends the British and Commonwealth super middleweight titles. He won that night against Kelly, against Steed Woodall. Caroline Dubois makes the first defence of her WBC lightweight title, the first since she's been installed as champion at the WBC convention. She's up against Jessica Camara. We've got an interesting 8-rounder at cruiserweight between Scott Forrest and Devon Miller. I think that could be a little bit of a sleeper on the card. And we get another look as well at Sam Hickey, who's up against Lewis Howes. Hickey, a former standout amateur star. And appearances lower down the card for Ellis Price, brother of Hopi, another fighter who did a lot of good things as an amateur. Mauro Silva and Billy Dennis, who we saw in Barnsley over the summer, who gave us good performances and again could draw a little bit of a crowd. So there's a lot to look forward to on the card. Matt Macklin joins me. And Matt Simpson, as I said, he's got this magnetism, which you really need as a fighter, don't you? Because he's got the ability to sell tickets, which is massive. We saw it in Barnsley, but he can take that just down the road to Sheffield without any problem at all. And to sell at this time of year too, that really proves that you've got some power.
Yeah, very impressive. Like I say, most people are still hungover from the Christmas and the New Year, and it's definitely broke anyway. So for him to sell that many tickets this early in the year, and I know Barnsley, Sheffield, it's not far away, but it's still not his hometown, Sheffield. So, very impressive. But he's on a roll, and people buy into stories and journeys, and he's a nice guy, very personable. There's a lot to like in him, and he's exciting. He's a good boxer. He can punch. Although I have to say, this is a tough fight for a voluntary defence. It is voluntary, isn't it? It's not voluntary. Yeah. They could have picked an easier one because Steed Woodall, he can fight. He'd probably gone under the radar a little bit with the more casual fans here. But go back a few years because he's from Birmingham, so I knew about him. He's he went to the World Junior Championships. He turned pro at 19. Was out in America. That would have been a tough apprenticeship over there, sparring with all those guys, Charlos, I think Durrells. He would have been in heavy, in deep, early doors as a kid, really. So, and then you look at his career. He's been plagued with inactivity. I think he broke his leg, then COVID. There was a 4-year period there he didn't box at all. Then it was like one fight a year, and it's like, you think, has it fizzled out? Is his motivation gone? And then all of a sudden, he has a loss in a close fight against Porrick McCrory. Maybe I think the knockdown was possibly the difference on the card, and it was a touchdown. And then he gets a win against Leron Richards, who was, a good fighter. So, and I spoke to John Pegg, who looks after him. He's a friend of mine, and he said, no, he's up for it. He's still very much motivated, still very much ambitious. So, when you throw all that in together, and then of course Callum Simpson and his family are still dealing with the tragic loss of their sister. That could, some people would say, well, that might inspire him and motivate him to fight on more. Or it could be a massive distraction, having to deal with that every day. I can't imagine that every day you're waking up after that and you feel like really up for it in the train. I'd say a lot of days his head shots. That's going to affect his training negatively, perhaps. So, I don't know, you throw it all in together and you mix it around. And I think this is a tough fight for Simpson.
Yeah, I agree, and with the loss of Lily, his sister, Andy Scott did a piece about that, which will play on Saturday. People will have seen it. If you haven't seen it, go to Sky Sports YouTube. You're on Sky Sports YouTube now, and check it out because it's
so sad.
It's a tough watch. It's a brilliant watch, but a really hard watch. Yeah. I challenge anyone to get through that without tearing up. It's been very, very hard for all of them. I don't think he could possibly know what fight week is going to be like until he's in it. Exactly. And emotion in fight week, you don't want to be investing too much of it in anything really until you get to the night. So it's going to be hard for him. It's going to be hard for him. And as you outlined there, Steed Woodall's credentials are good, and he is hungry, really hungry, because we saw him against Boris Crichton, and he got the win, and he looked like what he is, which is well-schooled, compact, good fighter, knows what he's doing. We just wondered whether, after all the inactivity, the gears had gone a bit. But I don't think they have, because against Leron Richards, a former European, British and Commonwealth champion, he took the middle of the ring from the start, and was very positive, and the finish was great. Richards had a little bit of success, moved in, and then he caught him with a perfectly timed right hand, so that the skill level is there to be able to punish mistakes.
Well, when you're a fighter like Woodall, who has the ability, but has probably been managed wrong in his career, you know, went out to America, probably got forgotten a bit, the inactivity, all the rest of it, you know, he's not jaded from miles on the clock. Now, there'd be some miles on the clock from hard sparring in America, but probably because of his age and where he was, it was probably actually just a good, tough upbringing rather than, you know, really too detrimental. But you wonder, so physically he wouldn't be shot, but you could be maybe ambition-wise might be shot, gone out of him over that long period of time where it hasn't quite happened. But then the other thing is, if it is still in there, this is the fight that he's been praying for, that he's been crying out for, which catapults him. You know, it's a British title fight. He's the underdog against a guy who's got massive momentum, fan favourite, selling out arenas, on a roll, all the rest of it. And all of a sudden, this is the fight that someone like Steed Woodall was thinking, I never thought I was going to get this voluntary opposition. I thought I was going to have to work my way into a position to get mandatory. And, you know, even then, how long is it going to take? So, like, this is everything he's been praying for and dreaming of. This is his chance. You know, if he doesn't win on Saturday, I never like to say, oh, it's the end, it's over, but, you know, it's hard, it'd be difficult to see where he'd get another opportunity anytime soon like this one.
Yeah, agreed. It's a good fight. It is a good fight, and it is a voluntary, so Team Simpson are obviously confident. You don't hand out voluntaries to people who you think generally are going to give you too tougher a night's work. That's not to say they'll be underestimating him, because you can never, ever do that. Same applies to Caroline Dubois. She was waiting to see what Katie Taylor would do with the two belts she still had, which were the WBC and the WBA. At the convention, she was upgraded to full champion. It's never an ideal situation for a fighter, that, so I think she looks at this as being her world title fight. She's done everything right so far, Dubois. Checking Camara out, though, she looks a decent fighter. She's got a couple of strange losses on her record, but one loss to Kaylee Reese up at super lightweight was a really good fight, and she's had a recent win in Korea against Yunmi Choi, a two-weight world champion. And the script there was absolutely not that Camara was going to go there and win. She was a decent name for Choi to get on her record and try and work her way towards world title level. So she's somebody who I think is coming with some real belief here, Camara, that she could get something done.
Yeah, well, she's proven that she can travel and upset the odds, so that's going to give her a lot of belief, a lot of confidence coming into this fight with Caroline Dubois. The only problem is Caroline Dubois, I feel, is sort of, from what I've seen of the young fighters coming through, the future superstar in women's boxing. Of course, Katie Taylor and Serrano and these girls, Clarissa Shields, they're at the end of the road now. I know that they're still active, they're still fighting, but, you know, they're very much in the twilight of their career. But I think Caroline Dubois is the future.
She's had good seasoning too, hasn't she? They've got good fights for her where she's been taking the distance. Last time we saw her was in Barnsley against Myra Moneo. Put her down heavy, but again, it went the distance, which in 10-2s, if you're in against a tough seasoned opponent, or a tough opponent even, that's always likely to happen. And I think sometimes when she doesn't get the stoppage, she gets a bit frustrated with herself. But I just look at her physically, Dubois, and she's got great natural tools, hasn't she? You know, she's got strong legs, a really kind of strong backside, lovely long arms. You know, there's a lot of, yeah,
she's very athletic, isn't she?
Very.
Naturally gifted athletic, just genetically, and well schooled as a boxer as well. You know, she's got great feet, in and out, fast hands. You know, puts her shots together nicely. She's a right-handed southpaw, so her jab and the right hook, head and body are really vicious. And she's just got that fire in the belly, which, you know, is great to see.
No, it's interesting, the right-handed southpaw thing, because you see more fighters in that mould than people might think, where you've got a left-handed orthodox fighter or a right-handed southpaw, which means their lead hand, their jab hand is really strong, and they often have the ability to throw it without too much of a wind-up, without too much of a tell. That's something we've seen quite a bit from fighters the last couple of years. It always kind of interests me that. A fight on the undercard that I like is Scott Forrest against Devon Miller. Just talking to Devon Miller's people, they feel like they've been chosen because he lost his last fight, Devon, against a fighter called Lewis Oakford, who he lost to on debut and who he lost to in the amateurs a couple of times. And they feel like it's just one of those things where he's just probably never going to beat him. one of those situations. They feel that defeat has got them the fight, and he's come here knowing that this is a massive opportunity. But it's the same for Forrest, because things haven't kicked on for him in the way that he would really have wanted them to over the last 2-3 years. Big win for either one of those two, and they'll be eyeing up before too long, hopefully, a British title shot. Yeah, that's their plan.
Look, any prospect coming through, I suppose, with their manager and their promoter and their team, their trainer, to sit down and think, this is the perfect year, 18 months, 2 years ahead. We'll map it out. But, you know, there's injuries, fights fall through, dates don't happen with television, there's illnesses. So, you know, it doesn't always go to plan. And then what happens sometimes is the time flies by. Like I said, we talked about Steed Woodall in the main event. And then really what you need is a fight that will sort of catapult you, as opposed to being gradually brought along. Sometimes you need that one fight, that performance, to catapult you into the, you know, to make up for the lost time, so to speak.
And also, and I think they're both in this category, you need something where you're going to be super focused, where it's not a fight that you're expected to win, it's just a question of how well do you win. It's a fight where it just gets the juices flowing a bit more, where there's that jeopardy involved, where you know the other person, you know, looks at you and sees you as someone that they're going to take down, because particularly after a bit of a stagnant period, maybe that's what you need.
Yeah, you're not thinking about looking good, you're just thinking about winning. And it's like, I found personally, from my own experience, I found when I was thinking about the performance, I usually boxed poorly. When I just thought about the win, I boxed well.
Sam Hickey, we see him as well. He's in the early stages. Did well as an amateur, a bronze at the Euros, European Championships, gold at the Commonwealth Games, tangled with Lewis Richardson in both of those tournaments, won one, lost one, stopped Lewis actually. You won't thank me for mentioning it in the Commonwealth Games. He looked good on his debut. He looked like what he is, which is just a very good, technically sound fighter. Kept a good fighter in Mosquera under control completely over the course of the 4 rounds, and they'll be looking for him to move pretty quick, I think. Yeah,
I mean, I've never seen him box before. We only seen 4 rounds in a fight that he was supposed to win, but he looked, you can see he's well schooled, technically, like you say, very sound, but and I've heard he does carry power.
And a little bit further down the card, we've got some fighters who I'm looking forward to seeing again. Billy Dennis, we saw in Barnsley, former kickboxer, now with Joe Gallagher. He was a good watch. Mauro Silva, who joined us for a post-fight interview after his win, he's bursting full of confidence, got some ability too. And Ellis Price, the younger brother of Hopi. So there's a lot to get stuck into on the card. So let's hand over for the press conference now. Here's Big Mo.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Sheffield inside Cutler Hall here ahead of the first fight week for 2025, the first fight week for Boxer. And we bring you True Grit this Saturday night, live from the Cannon Medical Arena here in Sheffield, as we see the return of Callum Simpson as he looks to defend his British, Commonwealth, and WBA Intercontinental Championships, as well as the first world title, WBC world title defense of Sweet Caroline Dubois. Today is the press conference ahead of the first fight for 2025. On Saturday, we're going to have 3 groups in the press conference. All 3 groups are going to be led by Mr. Ben Shalom, the head of Boxer, and also from Sky Sports, Mr. Andy Scott. But I want to welcome now the fighters that are joining us first on stage. First here to my left, from Manchester, England, by way of Almada, Portugal. He is undefeated as a professional. Please welcome Super Mario Silva. Seated down the line, I'd also like to welcome from Droylsden, England. He's also undefeated as a professional at 12-0 with 5 knockouts. Please welcome Turkish Tyson, Billy Deniz. On Saturday, Billy's going to be taking on his opponent from Darwin, England. Please welcome Mickey Ellison. And finally, for this opening group on the press conference, he's undefeated as a professional with 1 victory and no defeats from Leeds, England. He is Wild Child Ellis Price. And now Andy Scott, Ben Shalom, the floor is yours.
Big Mo, Happy New Year to you, and welcome back to the UK.
Same to you. Welcome back. We missed you at the last one, Andy. I had to fill in for you, but it's good to see you, man. Welcome back.
It's okay. You had the other Andy Clark, who everyone thinks I am anyway. So it's great to be here in Sheffield. Great to be back. We're going to start. Obviously, we're cooking now, straight into it. Someone's pulling faces at me there, Dave Cole. Well, someone that I want to speak to is Ellis Price. But I'm going to ask you, just on this undercard, this Group 1, we're not in Barnsley because, you know, various venues and stuff like that, but to have local talent from the Yorkshire area and building a Yorkshire stable, it's exciting times up here.
Yeah, look, the tickets that Callum Simpson can now sell mean that Oakwell's the only possible venue in Barnsley. It's great to be in Sheffield. It's the first boxer show ever in Sheffield. Good to see some local talent. Morrow Silva works with Chris Eubank Jr., lad from Manchester, very, very top talent. Billy Denise in that light heavyweight division in a big test against Mickey Ellison. And Ellis Price, who Dave Caldwell has been banging on about, and we talk about the next stars in Yorkshire. Ellis Price has got his name there as well. So great to be in Sheffield, great to be back, Happy New Year, and can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah, just if you are doing interviews, guys, if you could do them in the other room, just give the fighters up here the utmost respect and focus while we get through this undercard section. Ellis, great to meet you. The Wild Child, I wasn't aware of that nickname. Why is that? Tell me that's an ironic nickname.
Well, ever since I was a kid, I was always wild. I think that's something to do with being the middle child, so I think that's where it's come from.
You said that, you know, a lot of people think you're Hopi's older brother.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that, but you told me that you've taken the beard off. It's good to have your brother in the pro ranks, and you can sort of bounce off him and be a bit of a sponge, but presumably you're forging your own path now, and you know you're Ellis Price, not Hopey Price's brother.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously my brother's done very well and he's doing very well, and we fight for our family name, so yeah, we're doing well.
Can you tell me a little bit about your pedigree? We know that you were a talented amateur and had some good rankings in some good tournaments.
Yeah, I won 6 national titles. I did 2 European bronze. I won the 3 Nations, so I was on Team GB as well. So I was a decorated amateur, and hopefully do the same in the pros.
Yeah, your hopes and expectations in the pro game. If we put it to you at this early stage, what do you want to get out of the pro game?
I wouldn't do this sport if I didn't believe I was going to be a world champion. So that's my aim. That's my goal.
Yeah, early stages. Wish you all the best of luck in your journey, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Mario, good to meet you. I want to clear this up. On some paperwork and in the circles, people have been calling you Mauro Silva, but it is Mario Silva, Super Mario.
Yeah, Super Mario Silva.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and what we can expect from you on Saturday night.
You can expect nothing but a class performance. Like I always do, I always try to bring the old school way of boxing back. I always try to put on a great performance, make sure everyone gets their money's worth. And you can expect to see lights out, nothing but good rounds, good class performance, great performances, and this is only the start of my journey, and I can't wait to keep going fight by fight, stepping stone by stepping stone, getting better, learning more, developing better as a fighter, and seeing more of these shows. And thank you to Ben Shalom, and thank you for everyone, thank you for my management team for making this possible, thank you for my father as well for training me throughout this whole camp and believing in me. And I've got the utmost confidence, and to the point where it's not confidence, I already know what's going to happen, and I can't wait for the fight to happen.
Obviously you're tall, you've got long levers, but we know you can punch a bit as well. The win that I want to point out, okay, you're in the early stages of your career, matched against people that we hope will give you rounds, and you know, as you step up.
That's the thing. To me, it doesn't matter about if I get rounds or don't get rounds, because I don't care about KOs. Because I can make 6 rounds look like the best 6 rounds you've ever seen in the last 10 years. So it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the fact that people can sit at home and remember these performances for years to come. And that's what I'm about. That's what my name stands for, D4G, Destined for Greatness.
Maybe so, and I agree with you there. But when you're in with the likes of Dale Arrowsmith, for context, you stopped Dale. He'd only been stopped 9 times in 133 professional outings. So that is some going. That does show that you do possess explosive power.
But also, that's because of the game plan we had. So it takes 2 to tango. So thank you to my father for the brilliant game plan that we had, and it worked and paid off, and it ended up coming out the way it came out.
Well done, and we're looking forward to seeing you back under the bright lights on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Billy Denise and Mickey Ellison. Mickey, I'll come to you first. I think we probably owe you a thanks, actually, on behalf of Team McKenna, because the last time we had you on the Sky cameras, it didn't go your way, but you stepped in at, I think, 24 hours notice, 48 hours notice to sort of save the TV portion against Darren McKenna. Didn't go your way, but very much the Mickey Ellison sort of way, you know, have the bag packed and ready to go. Bit more notice this time round against someone who's equally as good, though, in Billy Denise, so straight back in the deep end.
Yeah, definitely. It's lovely to have a bit of notice this time, and I haven't been working over Christmas, so that's been good to get in the gym, and you know, I have a lot of respect for Billy and his team, so I'm just looking forward to getting in there and do what I always do, turn up and fight.
I don't know you too well, but what I do know is that these are the sort of opportunities that you really get out of bed for and you thrive. Facing an unbeaten fighter is something you're used to, and beating an unbeaten fighter and being the first person to defeat them is also something you've done on more than one occasion.
Yeah, that's it. It's lovely, isn't it, to be honest. I've completed everything that I ever thought I'd complete in boxing, so to try and take another away from someone, that's what's driving me, and it just gives me a buzz.
Let's not beat around the bush though. That boxing grapevine where everybody talks to each other, he's got a great reputation and a great name following him around. Presumably that doesn't bother you too much, but at the same time, are you wary of how good he is potentially?
Yeah, I've seen him. I've never spotted him or anything, but I've seen him in the gym. Some of his fights, I've been there and I've seen what he can do and what he's good at, and we've got a game plan, and we believe that fight night, my experience will show and put a good fight on, but I'll come out victorious.
Billy, you're listening to that obviously, and perhaps it's something that you've heard before. You've got this reputation now. Kevin Marie has sort of told us how good he thinks you are, and everybody's saying nice things about you, but these are the tests that you've got to come through if you're going to get to where you say that you want to get to.
Yeah, definitely. I've been begging Kevin for a test like this. Credit to Mickey. We asked a few kids for this fight, a few good domestic kids, and Mickey's the only one that said yeah. So for me to show how good I am, I've got to go through someone like Mickey to take the next step in the career, which is straps, but we'll talk about that past Saturday night.
He's beaten unbeaten fighters before, the likes of Thomas Whittaker Hart and Jake Barton. Presumably your answer to that is I'm not Thomas Whittaker Hart and I'm not Jake Barton.
Yeah, I'm something different. I come from a totally different background. My style's unique. It's very hard to train for and train against. But like you just said yourself, I'm not anyone that he's lost against. I'm not anyone he's beat either. I'm something different, and he's going to find out on Saturday night.
I don't want to put words in Mickey's mouth, but presumably part of that game plan is to try and take you into deep waters, try and take you somewhere that you've not been before. Do you believe that he's good enough to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Mickey's a very, very good opponent, very tough opponent, very game opponent, and respect to him. Like I said, I have massive respect to him. I have massive respect to anyone that steps in the ring. These are these sort of fights now where I need to be took to deep waters and tested, and I think Mickey's going to be that person to do it, but I do think I'm going to come through with flying colours.
Yeah, it looks like a good fight on paper. I'll just give you the opportunity to give a final message to each other. It looks like a good match on paper, and we're looking forward to it. So what's your message to Billy Dennis?
Yeah, good luck, and best man will win.
Same to you, mate. Just turn up, yeah?
Okay, well, there you go. That completes our first part of the press conference. So I'll hand back over to Big Mo. I think we're going to do head-to-heads at the end. So everybody stay around and everyone will be available for one-on-ones. But back to Big Mo.
Perfect. Thank you all for the first part of the press conference. We're going to get the next batch of fighters up. I want to take this moment to remind you all to make sure you follow Boxer on all social media platforms. That's Boxer, B-O-X-X-E-R, on all social media platforms. We're providing live updates throughout the week on our social media channels. So make sure you follow Boxer with 2 X's on all platforms. And let's work on getting the next batch of fighters up. I will riff in the meantime. Looks like we have everybody on stage, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce these people. Obviously, Andy Scott and Ben Shalom will stay where they are. Our first is a middleweight contest tomorrow night, or on Saturday night. Introducing first from Stratford upon Avon, England. Please welcome Mr. Lewis Howells. And he'll be taking on the undefeated professional, coming off his first pro win, fighting out of Dundee, Scotland. Please welcome Sam Hickey. And then also a great cruiserweight matchup Saturday night here in Sheffield. First, from Lewisham, England. He's a professional record of 8 victories versus 2 defeats. Please welcome Devon Miller. And he will be taking on the undefeated professional from Edinburgh, Scotland. Please welcome Scott Forrest. And now, Andy, Ben, back to you.
Yeah, welcome back. Ben, next part of our undercard. I think you've worked with everybody up here, and these again.
I think I have.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Devon, good to see you there. You scared the life out of me when you walked up on stage. I wasn't expecting the mask. But we've had good fun with all of these fighters on the card. 2 very well matched fights. I mean, they'll probably disagree with me and say why they're favourite, but we're looking forward to these.
Yeah, look, Scott's someone we've worked with for a while from the GB setup, and has just been a little frustrated, if I'm honest, waiting for that opportunity, waiting for that big night, and really was willing to take on anyone. He was willing to take Vidal Riley in December, has been ready to go with any big fight. Devon Miller we've had before, so this is a great fight. And Sam Hickey as well from the GB setup with Ron McCracken, former gold medalist, Commonwealth Games. He's ready to go. We're really excited about Sam Hickey. I think it's a fair play to him as well, because this is a tough fight. I remember the fight against Kieran Jones, and Lewis did really well there, so it's a big test for both of them. It really is, and I'm looking forward to it.
Lewis, let's get straight to that. Great to have you on the bill again. We really enjoyed that fight against Kieran Jones. It was well matched. It didn't go your way, but you were very open from the start. You know, I want to test myself, I want to see where I'm at, and he is a very, very good fighter. Straight back in again against Sam Hickey, who I think everyone at Boxer has got high hopes for. So tell us your build up to this and what you're hoping to get out of Saturday night, and if you think you can beat Sam Hickey.
Yeah, I definitely think I can beat him. People kind of underestimate me because I'm under the radar. My last performance was obviously made a mistake early on, so then it was always hard to get back into the fight. But yeah, I got back up off that canvas, I put on a fight, and well, other than the fact that I was dead, I think it would have been a completely different performance. So yeah, it'd be interesting now. I've got to stay switched on for this. He's clearly a good boy, got good achievements in his amateur career. So I just got to see how this goes, stay switched on, and then people will see what I'm actually capable of.
Yeah, it didn't go your way, but can you take positives from the loss against Kieran Jones?
Yeah, it is all positives, like doing all this sort of stuff, press conferences. Like last time, it really ate up on me. I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself for no reason really. All I got to do is get in and fight. But this time it's all done. I can relax and just wait till Saturday night now and then just do what I do best.
Well, wish you all the best of luck. Sam, I'll come straight to you. Great to have you back. What did you take away from your own professional debut, and what do you want to show us this time out?
Obviously the pro debut was just went in and done a job. I was meant to go in and win with the opponent that I was with, so just about taking it all in, the pro game, the experience, the cameras and stuff like that. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but we're here on the January 11th show, and you know, no messing about. I've got an opponent that's got a bit of ambition. You know, he's going to come to fight and come to win, and that's what I want really. I'm not interested in fighting these guys that are just going to tuck up and walk around the ring for 6 rounds. You know, I want to fight guys that are going to come to me, because that's what the experience in the amateurs. You know, I had guys coming to me every single fight, and I done well. So yeah, bring it on Saturday night.
Yeah, taking nothing away from John Mosquera on your day, because he did what he had to do and wanted to do. He survived on points and boxed again just a couple of weeks later. But in Lewis, we've already seen he's someone that's coming with ambition, didn't like losing for the first time, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's probably seeing you as a 1-0 guy. Yeah, you come from Team GB with a great reputation, but what right do you have to jump in with someone like Lewis?
Yeah, well, he's took the fight, so he obviously thinks he can win. You know, I'll fight these guys in my second fight. You don't really see a lot of boxers coming through fighting guys with winning records or whatnot, but you know, the level I boxed at as an amateur, I should be able to do that. You know, so it's just good to see like where I'm at come Saturday, put on a great performance, and just once again have have my name in everybody's mouth. You know, I want to have people talking about me, and these are the kind of fights where I can really showcase my skills.
Yeah, and sorry to everybody else that I'm not giving an individual question to Ben Shalom, but on Sam Hickey, he signed a Boxer deal.
Yeah.
Are you happy to match him hard? You and Rob McCracken are obviously cracking heads, and you've got a lot of ambition and hopes for Sam Hickey. It's quite nice to see someone move quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, no, look, he's been there and done it, but most of all, when you get a trainer that knows what they're doing as well, you get the right information and they know where they're at, and Ron McCracken's never been one to slow his fighters down. I mean, look at Lauren Price now. He wants his fighters to achieve a lot. He wants them to achieve a lot early in their career. And this is a real fight. This is a real test. And I remember Lewis last time, and I actually thought he was going to win that night. And as he said, he started badly and then was playing catch up. So this is a real test for Sam. He really impressed on his pro debut. He has a huge fan base wherever he goes. I mean, to sell all his ticket allocation down in Barnsley shows what the future could hold, and what the future could hold for a Scottish talent like Sam. So yeah, early days, but a big opportunity to make a big statement on Saturday night.
Wish you all the best, Sam, and good luck, Lewis, as well. Let's move to the cruiserweights, the blood spiller. Good to have you back, Devon Miller. Your manager, Martin, has already said to me, we're here for the bright lights, we're here to cause an upset, this is what we want. So you've got your opportunity now against Scott Forest. What can we expect from you on Saturday night?
A clinical performance. I'll just display my skills, and yeah, my skills will show.
We had you on the Selhurst Park card, which was just the strangest event. I think we were quite excited to see what you were all about, and we didn't really get to learn too much through no fault of your own. How do you reflect on that? Should have been a great experience for you, but it was just a strange one in the end.
It was a weird one, but everything still kind of went ahead. At least I got a fight, I got in the ring, the whole atmosphere, got to experience it, but it was kind of a bit of a downer the way it ended, but it is what it is, I couldn't change it.
I don't think there's an active cruiserweight in the domestic division that you haven't sparred with. Is that fair enough? You sparred with everybody, Akoli, Riekpo, Billum Smith, many, many more. How do you make sure that you transfer what you're doing in sparring under the gym lights into the fight night lights against someone like Scott Forest?
I think it's just being in your flow and not overthinking it. I feel like sometimes in the ring you can kind of overthink it and maybe think, it's a fight, it's different from sparring, but really and truly that's where you show the skills. So just about displaying it.
What do you know about him? He was a regular on the undercard portions of our Sky Sports shows in the early part of his career. He hits hard, he's got good fundamentals, was a very good amateur. What am I missing out? I mean, I'm sure he'll remind me. But do you see weaknesses there? Do you see parts that you can exploit? And do you come into this fight on Saturday night full of confidence that you're going to be the first man to beat him?
I come in the fight fully confident. Yeah, he's a good boxer, good amateur pedigree. He was in Team GB. He's had 6 fights, so it's quite early. But yeah, he showed skills. He's got power. Everyone has power in cruiserweight division. It's nothing new. But yeah, I'll be the first one to give him a loss.
And is this your launch pad now? Is this the night that you announce yourself live on Sky Sports? What an opportunity for you to really give a rocket to your career.
My coming out party. Stay tuned.
Okay, well, Scott, you heard all that. It's not your party, it's his opportunity, it's not yours. He says he's going to be the first man to beat you. What's your reaction to all of that?
Listen, everyone's going to come in here, say the same words. They're going to come to win or whatever, but on the night, it all ends the same way, and it's me with the win.
How do you think that you've sort of progressed in the professionals? You had that unfortunate period of inactivity, when everything was going your way, you're winning and knocking people out. Presumably this is an opportunity for you to take the handbrake off again and launch your own career again, part 2.
Yeah, listen, I've had some fight offers. I say yes, and they seem to turn it down at the end of the day. At the end of the day, a lot of people don't want to step in the ring with me, so credit to my man here for actually stepping in the ring, because a lot of people seem to be turning it down, so I'm ready for it. Had great training camp, got a great team around me now, so I'm looking forward to it.
You told me off camera, I've learned that. So, travelling and boxing out of Latvia now?
That's right. Moved to Latvia early last year, full time, and the team that I've got around me now is amazing. It was the best move I've ever made, and we've progressed tremendously.
We had a great press conference yesterday. Lots going on in the cruiserweight division. Isaac Chamberlain and Vidal Riley for the English title, and obviously above that you've got lots and lots of names that I've already mentioned there that Devon's been in and sparred with. How quickly do you want to move that you feel that you could get into that British title mix?
Well, listen, I've been chasing these two guys for the last year. The whole time that I've been out boxing the Sky, I've been asking for these names, and it seems to be them that are turning down the fight, so that can only say one thing.
So this is an opportunity for you to almost force your way?
100%. Listen, I've progressed massively. I'm ready to take on these guys, and they're just a stepping stone to the world titles.
You have a message for each other then? I mean, if they're a stepping stone to the world titles, that probably puts Devon in that bracket easily.
He's the first one.
And we'll see.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
I look forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for taking the fight, man. You're one in a million, apparently.
Say that again?
You're 1 in a million to take the fight because everyone else seems to not.
I took it for a reason.
Whether it be bravery or stupidity, we'll see Saturday.
You called me out a long time ago. I asked you to send a contract a long time ago, so it's only happening now.
Yeah, listen, that fight was meant to happen then, and for some reason the show or something happened, so it's here now. Let's get it on.
See you Saturday.
May the best man win. Okay, that concludes our second part of the press conference. So thank you all. You can leave your microphones on the stalls and we'll move on to the third and final part.
Thank you, Andy. Once again, hopefully all media, please stay seated. If you have to conduct any interviews of those stepping off stage, if you could wait till the end of our press conference, as our champions for our chief support and our main event are getting their hardware displayed. Once again, a reminder to all of you to make sure you follow Boxer on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok at Boxer, BOXXER. We have some champions joining us on stage as they're making their way up. I'd also like to take this moment to thank our sponsors for Boxer for the show on Saturday. Betfred, That Prize Guy, Hell Energy, and Riyadh Season. Thank you so much for supporting Boxer. We're getting all the fighters on stage here, just waiting for the other half of our main event. Looks like we have everybody here. Waiting on a couple belts. All right, I think we got all the hardware displayed. Everyone's on stage, so we will continue with the press conference now for our chief support and main event Saturday night live from Sheffield on Sky Sports and NBC's Peacock for Boxer True Grit. First, I want to introduce the chief support bout. It is for the WBC Lightweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, the challenger. She hails from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. She's the former World Championship contender. Please welcome Jessica, the Cobra, Camara. And she will be taking on, defending the WBC Championship for the first time. She is undefeated as a professional with 10 victories, no defeats, with 5 of those wins coming by way of knockout. She's the current reigning IBO lightweight champion of the world. And on Saturday, she's defending the WBC Championship of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Sweet Caroline Dubois. And now our main event live on Saturday for Boxer True Grit. It is for the British, Commonwealth, and WBA Continental Super Middleweight Championships. Introducing first the challenger from Birmingham, England. He holds a near-perfect professional record of 19 victories versus just 2 defeats and 1 draw with 12 knockouts. He is the current reigning WBO Intercontinental Super Middleweight Champion. Please welcome the Stallion, Steed Woodall. And of course, the other half of our main event, the person who Steed is looking to take the titles away from. He is one of the fastest rising stars in this country. He's already one of the biggest ticket sellers in this country. He is undefeated as a professional with 15 victories, no defeats, with 10 of those wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Barnsley, England, please welcome the current reigning, defending British, Commonwealth, and WBA Continental Super Middleweight Champion, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Callum Simpson. And with that being said, let's wrap up this press conference with our final group. Back to you, Andy and Ben.
Yeah, welcome back to Cutler's Hall. Nice little bit of atmosphere. Now we move to the final group, which we could have split into 2, to be honest, because these are 2 real good fights.
Could have had 4 groups.
Yeah, exactly. One more group for fun. Yeah. But let's start, if you don't mind, guys, let's start with the world title fight. She's ambitious, she's vocal, she's hungry for more titles and more champions, but she has to get past our visitor, Jessica Camara. Welcome to the UK, Jessica. Great to have you here. Caroline probably blows your phone up more than anybody else. She wants the opportunity. It's going to be difficult to keep giving them to her. Is it titles this year? Is 2025 the year of Caroline Dubois?
It has to be. I think, look, She's had me sweating for the past 12 months. She's been impatient. She's restless. She's ambitious. For me, she's the future of women's boxing. So when she's not a world champion, that eats her up. And look, 23 years old, and she's managed to get here this quickly. The WBC belt now sits in front of her. That's what she'll be defending. Credit for Jessica Camara taking this fight. I obviously really appreciate it. Matching Caroline is probably one of the hardest jobs we have. She's phenomenal. I believe she's the best lightweight in the world already. She's got to prove on Saturday night against a world level opponent that she is what we think she is. This year she'll unify that lightweight division. I really believe that. She'll prove that she's the best lightweight in the world, and the world's her oyster. But it's exciting times for Caroline. It's been a long time coming, that belt, and this is just the beginning.
Well, let's meet our challenger, someone who's been in this position before. Jessica, this isn't your first rodeo. You're probably listening to all of that thinking, sounds great, but I'm going to break a few hearts over here. What do you know about Caroline Dubois, and what have you got to do to beat her and make sure you take that green and gold back home?
I mean, she does have a lot of amateur experience. I have a lot of respect for Caroline Dubois. I mean, she's a champion for a reason. I've been in this rodeo before, like you said. I just defeated Hamni Choi. She was an undefeated fighter. I went all the way to South Korea and came in as an underdog, and it came out on top. And I believe I've done everything I need to do to be prepared both physically and mentally to come out victorious on Saturday.
Yeah, do you mind if I just get you to expand on that? It takes a special fighter to go to backyard territory of your opponent and rip belts away and deal with a hostile home crowd and where everybody expects you to lose and wants you to lose, more importantly. So it's not like you haven't done this before. Nope. Does that make it a little bit more special that you're going to come to the UK and try and dethrone Caroline?
Yeah, of course. I believe I am special, and I've done things the hard way my whole career, and I take pride in that. And to come out here, you know, I believe I have what it takes to come in as an underdog and come out on top on Saturday.
How important is experience, especially at world title level? Caroline is fast rising, and she is very vocal in the fact she wants belts, and she's ready to fight anybody and everybody to get them. Presumably you want to derail that, and one thing that you have got over Caroline is experience.
Yeah, I believe I do have, I do have a lot more experience in the professionals than Caroline. She does have an amateur backing. It is different, so we'll see how it plays out on Saturday.
Do you believe you've benefited from being matched hard as a pro? You know, you've been in there with some of the best names around, and you've beaten some of the best names around, but also you've come up short in fights that haven't gone your way. Do you believe that you've benefited from that in a number of ways?
Absolutely. I feel like everything happened for a reason. I like taking big fights. I like the challenge, and I feel like it's made me into the fighter I am today.
Well, great to have you here and wish you all the best of luck. Caroline, you will have been listening to that intently. You've heard it before as well from previous opponents. Why are you different? Why are you special, if you don't mind me asking you to put it into words for us?
I think my performances speak for themselves. You know, honestly, if you look at my performances and what I do every time I step into the ring, I try to win, I get the knockdown. You know, obviously we women only fight 10 2-minute rounds, and yet every single time I've managed to get the knockdown, and I think that speaks for itself. You know, I'm doing something that not a lot of women can do, and I intend to continue that.
I should have started by saying congratulations. So you are now full world champion. You didn't get that moment of and the new, but does that make a difference to you? You walk to the ring now as champion, so this technically counts as a first defence, so it is a slightly different dynamic.
No, obviously we pushed for the fight to be my last one, to be able to get the belts, but unfortunately, you know, that wasn't to be. But it is what it is. You know, I'm world champion now, and these are my belts, and they're mine to stay. You know, I'm going to stand on them. They're mine. It's going to take a very special woman to take them out of me, and I don't see Jessica being that woman.
When you look at her CV and her resume, would you argue, well, what would you argue? You know, she's got that win over Choi. Is that better than any wins on your resume? What would you say?
Not at all. You know, Choi, I think a lot of girls were gunning for her for a reason. She was inactive. She was doing other stuff. Her mind was all over the place. You know, I think Michaela Mayer wanted her, Alicia Baumgardner wanted her, and they wanted her for a reason because they saw her as a very weak link. And you were able to take that opportunity and you beat her, and credit to you. But I'm no Choi. You know, I would have stopped her. I would have knocked her out, and that's a fact. And I intend to do the same to you on Saturday.
Do you have a response to that, Jessica?
I mean, I feel like she says that every fight, but
What have I done every fight? What have you done compared?
What have I done? I've come in as an underdog and I've come out on top. More than just once.
Huh?
What? Did you not hear that?
No, you've beaten Choi, but who's Choi like compared to the world champions that's on a level now? You know.
I'm ready for the next challenge.
Of course. And listen, I'm here. This is not just going to be a challenge. It's going to be a mountain to get over.
May I ask you about your hopes and expectations, I should say, for 2025? We're all making resolutions that we're not going to stick to. But for you, is it chasing belts? Is it becoming undisputed?
Of course, for me, I think a lot of women, you know, they're able to move quickly as a professional. It's easy. I'm not going to say it's easy because it's degrading it, but it's more accessible to get a world title. I think for women, you want to be undisputed. You know, that's the challenge. You want to be multi-weight undisputed, hopefully. And for me, there's no different. I want to be a multi-weight undisputed world champion.
I mean, Jessica will say, hold on, I'm sat here, I'm going to win on Saturday. But if I did ask you, what is your message to the other world champions, what would it be?
I'm here, I'm coming, I'm 135, this is my division.
We'll wish you both the best of luck on Saturday. Ben, the main event. It isn't Barnsley, but it is Yorkshire. Callum Simpson is building this quite incredible fan base here. Steed Woodall, no stranger to hostile crowds and underdog mentality. These are the ones that I think feel more dangerous than, you know, the world titles or whatever may wait for Callum Simpson. He has to get past Steed Woodall, who's used to upsetting the apple cart.
Look, he's big. He's built something very special. So he has a lot to lose. And credit to Callum for wanting to take Steed. Credit to Steed. He's worked hard his whole career for this opportunity, and he coming off the back of a big knockout win against Lerone Richards. He'll feel this is his time. Callum Simpson has been absolutely perfect during his career so far, built an unbelievable fan base. I remember starting out as a promoter and was lucky enough to promote Kell Brook, and the fan base that he had from his Yorkshiremen was incredible. We're seeing it now at the early stage. It feels like it's building, but it's still very early, and it's so exciting how far Callum Simpson could go. He's got a date in Oakwell at the back of the football club on the line, but this is a special fight for me at the moment. Proven wise, it's the two best super middleweights in the country going head to head. Both can bang, both can punch, both are up for it. It's a massive main event, and the atmosphere is going to be incredible. So yeah, looking forward to a cracking fight.
Steed, welcome. When you hear all that and you weigh it all up, it's a pretty good time to announce yourself again and demolish all those dreams, presumably, if that's all that's on the line for Callum. You're the man that can derail all of that.
Yeah, listen, it's been a long road to get here. The small following I do have know what I've been through to get here, and I know just how hungry I am, why I'm here today, and why I deserve to be here. And the fact that literally everyone has written me off again, I absolutely love it. You know, including yourself on the last show. You know, everyone was ripping me to bits, looking past it, talking with Jeffers and all that stuff. Actually, it was only Callum that showed me respect during that whole thing, and I'm here to show why I deserve to be here.
Yeah, I made that point to you off camera. Everybody's talking about Jeffers and what Callum Simpson's going to do next, and you've got an opportunity to show everybody why they were wrong to be talking about that. May I ask you about the Lerone Richards win, an opportunity that you took when everybody was probably looking at where Lerone Richards was going, and what a win for you to beat Lerone, but beat him in fashion as well.
This is it. You know, I've been the underdog, you know, many times throughout my career, and going up against it really doesn't faze me. You know, I have the amateur pedigree, I've been to world level as an amateur. You know, I was up against insurmountable odds. You know, that particular round, I'm not as rich as I was a 100-to-1 underdog, and he looks the same in this fight. So I know why I'm here. My team know why I'm here, and ready to get it on Saturday night.
I wonder with that though, you know, coming in under the radar when everybody else is focused on the other side, I wonder if it's not a bad place to be sometimes. You know, if people are looking past or looking at horizon or looking at what the summer might hold, that is why the odds makers get it wrong sometimes.
Absolutely. You know, I've got obviously a lot of respect for Callum for taking the fight in the first place, and obviously we were putting in for mandatory anyway. But for me to be walking into this fight, you know, listen, I'm a champion. My belt's on the line as well. I'm a champion in my own right coming into this fight, and to have me as a heavy underdog is, you know, I like it. I'm pleased as well. He's got a really big following. I'm a big fan of boxing as well, and obviously it'd be great to have his fans there in support of him, which is going to make for a great event on Saturday.
You've already mentioned the Patrick McCrory crowd and the New York crowd. No stranger to a hostile crowd. It's probably, in the nicest possible way, probably going to be another hostile crowd where you're probably not going to get a few cheers. It's probably going to be the boo boys. But from what you're just saying there, they're booing the sport that you kind of love, and they're there to support Callum. And I think a fair crowd, I would say, you'll get your props if you win. Does that fuel you a little bit more, though, the boo boys and the hostile crowd, and what might come with that?
Absolutely. I love that the crowd gets behind the opponents, and it's brilliant for the sport. It's the entertainment business at the end of the day. I don't like to go backwards and forwards with my opponents. I'm respectful till the first battle goes, and as I said, I'm glad that the fans will be there in numbers. I've got a few fans coming down myself, so I'm sure it'll be overwhelmed by the noise that's going on, but looking forward to it, yeah. You're a gentleman, and you've just buried my next question there, because I was going to say, we're in the hype business, and there's a lot of hype behind him there. Is he being overhyped? Again, I don't want to be disrespectful here. I don't believe this is my toughest fight to date. Obviously, he's a young, hungry champion in his own right, and but I'm the man with the wealth of experience, and that's what I'm going to show on Saturday night. Wish you all the best of luck with it. Callum, welcome home, I suppose, to Yorkshire. I mean, you've never really been away. It's not Barnsley, but it is Yorkshire, and we're expecting another sold-out capacity crowd. This time you walk to the ring as champion. This time there's probably a bigger target on your back. You've been chasing them down, and now they're chasing you. How does that sit with you?
I love it, to be honest, mate. I love it, It's tough at the top, as they say. But another sold-out crowd, another back-to-back headline, sold-out event. So yeah, grateful for Boxer giving me another opportunity, Sky Sports giving me another massive opportunity. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday night. Steed's right in a number of ways. We're all blowing the smoke, and there's big fights being talked about. There's a stadium being talked about again. This is where it really does go wrong if you don't get over the line on Saturday. Yeah, obviously we've got I know there's plans for Oakwell in the summer, but there were plans for Oakwell when I fought at the O2 Arena. Every fight and I under that alleged pressure, absolutely fine. Every fight's a must-win fight. It doesn't matter who I'm fighting, whatever's to be had on in the future as well. Every fight's a must-win fight. How has your life changed since Oakwell in terms of the win? The fans that came out, I think Ben's been onto the football club a couple of times. You could have gone bigger. That was a capacity crowd for what was open, and I think there was so much upset from fans that couldn't get tickets. How has life in Barnsley Town Centre changed? Do you get recognised even more and pestered for photos and autographs even more? Yeah, a little bit more. I won't say pestered. I don't mind having photos, giving my time out to people, but life's the same, to be honest. Still in the gym every day. Still focused. Still training hard. So yeah, life's the same, to be honest, mate. It's interesting what Steve said there, that on paper you're not his toughest test today. Is he yours? Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah. I think every fight we try and step up in levels. From Boris Crichton then up to Zach Chelly, and now Steed Woodall's another, I believe, levels above Chelly, and for me the toughest fight in Britain domestically. So, and to be honest, I think is above British level, but I also believe that I am as well. So yeah, that's why again, months ago, Boxer offered me an easier fight, and I said no, I want to defend my British Commonwealth titles. And yes, Steed were up there with the hardest fight, and that's what I want, and I want to prove, again, people can say that you're blowing smoke or that I might be overhyped or just a ticket seller, but the only way to prove that I'm not all them things is by fighting the best and the best challengers, and Saturday I'm looking forward to proving that I'm the real deal. And there is no need for this because the fight doesn't need it. I don't need to instigate some sort of war of words here, but if I said to you, why are you better than Steed Woodall, what would your response be? Because I've got that Yorkshire grit. The show's called True Grit for a reason, and I've got that Yorkshire grit. Do you have a final message to each other before we wrap the press conference up? May the best man win at the end of the day. Yeah, and there's no real final message. I've heard nothing but you know, I've got a few mutual people that I know. I've heard nothing but good things about Steed. You know, I've heard of Steed for quite a few years. He's a good fighter. I've heard a lot of good things about him, and seems a nice guy. You know, he's got his nice fresh trim ready for fighting.
I know.
Look here fresh. We'll have to get his barber's details after, but yeah, no, good luck, all the best.
Yeah, I'm just trying to hold on to my hairline at the minute, but
aren't we all?
No, all the best as well, mate. Thank you for taking the fight. Thank you to Boxer and my sponsors for helping me to be here today. And good luck to all the fighters on the card.
Yeah, well, it's taken us all longer to wash our faces, and nobody needs to be looking at anybody's hairlines. What a nice way to end it. Thank you very much. We're going to pose now for head-to-heads. All the fighters will be available for one-on-ones as well. And make sure you come and join us tomorrow for the weigh-in.
So, thus concludes the press conference. Now just waiting for the head-to-heads. Johnny Nelson has moved his slender hips in alongside me and Matt Macklin. Johnny, there was never going to be a war of words between Callum Simpson and Steed Woodall. They are respectful of each other. They're those kinds of operators, both completely confident. Interesting to hear Steed Woodall say that he doesn't regard Callum Simpson as his toughest test. And when you look at the fact that Lerone Richards had formerly been a European as well as British and Commonwealth champion, on paper that actually stacks up.
He's right. I don't disagree with him. He also said, you know, the only person that's shown me respect is Callum. Everybody else has more or less written me off because they're talking about Callum all the time. Yeah, they have. And Steve Woodall's he's just been under the radar because that win against Lerone Richards was a good fight. I know Lerone's a good fighter. So Callum understands the scalp that's in front of him. And you're looking at Callum, he looks on weight now. You know, most fighters they'll be above the weight and they'll get down to it. He looks on weight now. So, and I spoke to his dad earlier on. He said, "Listen, I've watched all the sparring sessions. I've seen everything he's doing. If he wasn't right, he wouldn't be fighting today because of obviously everything what's happening in their personal life." He said, "I wouldn't let him be here today." But he's right. I'm more than happy with everything that's gone on. So this is for Callum to step up to say, "This is what all the hype is about." I knew this young man before Boxer signed him up, and I used to see him going on the circuit sparring with the best. And he could hold his own and more. So this is a good fight. Look at the size of these two. He has the height, he has the reach, he has that grit about him. And one thing I like about Callum is that he can up tempo, drop tempo, in a step, in a heartbeat, and that's what he'll need in fights like this because Woodall will be trying to just pressure him and take the fight out of him. Callum's got to box and bash. Make sure that he keeps changing the tempo of the fight. He's got to use his brain. This is his hardest fight today.
And we're just watching the face-off here. There's a little bit of a height difference there. You can see Simpson is tall and quite rangy for a super middleweight, but does appear to do the weight pretty well. But I don't get the impression, Matt, and Woodall mentioned it during the press conference, we will get a performance from him on Saturday, win, lose or draw. He's absolutely convinced he's going to win. Of course he is. He's been around the block. He's not going to care about the crowd. If anything, it might switch him on a bit more. As he mentioned there, the fact that people were talking about Simpson Jeffers, you could tell that needled him. And good, you know, it shouldn't it?
Definitely. I think he's. This is an opportunity that Steed Woodall has been crying out for. He's. When you look, if you go right back to his amateur pedigree, I think he got to the quarterfinals of the World Youth Championships. You know, he was a decorated amateur, very talented kid. Turned pro in America at 19. You know, done all the rounds of sparring with the Charlos, with the Durrells. You know, a tough apprenticeship in that regard. And he, you know, was in an up and down affair with. I've lost his name now. Fought a love kid,
Steve Rolls.
And he, you know, you lose a last. Some people kind of the shine goes off you. People forget it because you know you're as good as your last fight, and it's dog eat dog in boxing, isn't it? They're on to the next one type thing, and then he gets a rebuild. Then he breaks his leg, COVID. All of a sudden, it's always like his career's fizzled out a little bit, but. You know, the last win he had against Lerone Richards is suddenly what a shot in the arm that has done for his career. Now he's in fighting for the British title in a fight that he's probably thinking, I should have been here years ago. You know, he thinks like, no, this is what I've been waiting for.
Absolutely, 100%. And now we're watching Caroline Dubois and Jessica Camara. And Caroline Dubois looks like she is ready to go, Johnny, at the drop of a hat. She was looking for something in that press conference, wasn't she? She was looking for Camara to come back at her because she was spoiling for a fight there, basically.
Caroline seems to have grown up overnight. I think in her personal life it reflects in a fight life. She's taken control of every aspect of her life, and now, as a fighter, she talks the talk, walks the walk. She speaks and she owns her presence. She owns what she's talking about. She owns the fact that she's champion and really believes it, and she actually wants to own her opponent as well, taking no nonsense. It's a good way and a good start. It's a good attitude to have. If you want to intimidate your opponent, say, "I'm not. You respect me." Caroline can fight, and she can fight for fun. And I've said earlier on, the thing that I'm looking for on the horizon is if Caroline keeps winning, Lauren Price gets through Natasha. Trust me, down the line, won't be anytime soon, but down the line, those two will put on such a fight against each other. That fight I can see happening down the line.
There's all sorts of potential options for Dubois if she could get past that test on Saturday night. Camara showed good experience, I thought, because she just basically wouldn't bite. She wouldn't invest that emotional energy. This is a really interesting fight at cruiserweight. Scott Forrest has had a bit of a slow burn since he turned pro off the back of a good amateur career. Devon Miller, with the loss in his last fight against Lewis Oakford, somebody who beat him on debut, as we mentioned, and who beat him a couple of times in the amateurs, and they feel, Team Miller, Johnny, that's how they've got this fight, because he's coming into it off the back of a defeat, and they feel that Forrest and his team have made a massive mistake.
Yeah, because you see Forrest. I've seen Forrest fight. He's a strong unit. He's muscle bound. He can punch. Can he punch as well as he boxes? He's a decent fighter. He's got a good pedigree. But Miller needs to make sure. Don't try and match him for strength, because if you do, you're going to gash yourself out and then get turned over. He's got to have the discipline to show boxing patience. And if he's patient with his boxing, this will turn him. I think we're complaining that they've dropped the fight from a 10-rounder down to an 8-rounder, Miller's team, because they're wanting that. They want this fight to be dragged through. They want this fight to they don't want to dig Forrester into a fight where he's got to work for the win.
So that's our second fight on the TV card, and we're just waiting for Sam Hickey and Lewis Howes. These two will go for it at middleweight, and again it's a good matchup because the opponent here, Howes, is definitely coming with ambition. We heard him speak in the press conference there. He knows all about Hickey, and he does have good credentials.
If you look behind us, you've got half the England squad, the amateur squad, that have come to support Hickey, because it's his team, it's his boys, and they've all come down to support him. After they got off from the press conference, they all stood there over there. They all stood there together, and it's just, as you say, when you're in the gym, you fight like a dysfunctional family. When you're out in the gym, you move like a pack of wolves, and I think he's still bringing that camaraderie with him.
I'm out with Hickey. Ben Shalom talked about the fact that he sells tickets. It's really big, and we haven't been to Scotland with Sky for a while, since Josh Taylor against Jack Catterall, which is 3 years ago, amazingly. It doesn't seem that long, but it's 3 years ago. It's such a boxing hotbed. It's kind of surprising that we haven't been up there since, and if he can really make an impression, then the possibilities are there for him, as we just watched Billy Dennis up there.
Yeah, it'd be great to get back up to Scotland. I made my pro debut in Glasgow on the Scott Harrison, Steve Robinson card, and and boxed up at the Calvin Hall on another Scott Harrison card, and they passionate fans. Alex Arthur Gomez, what a fight that was in Edinburgh. So yeah, we'd love to get back up there.
Billy Dennis up against Mickey Ellison. A little bit of back and forth between those two, all quite light-hearted, but I think we'll get a good fight from the pair of them. I think we'll get some good action. Dennis coming into boxing off the back of a kickboxing background, training at the Champs Camp with Joe Gallagher, so part of a good, thriving stable. And it's an interesting first part of the card, actually, because Dennis on it, as well as the likes of Mario Silva, Super Mario, and also Ellis Price, who we saw those two speaking at the press conference. So always good to see somebody new. Ellis Price we haven't seen on Sky before. We saw Hopi 2 or 3 years ago now, and he always impressed right from the beginning. Dave Caldwell's got a lot of good things to say about Ellis Price, and obviously Silva from that strong background with his dad Paulie being a former fighter. You touched on it briefly there, Johnny, the impact on Callum Simpson of what's gone on in his personal life since he won those British and Commonwealth titles outdoors at Oakwell in the summer. Obviously his sister a few weeks after that lost her life tragically in an accident, and it's just going to rock your world. It's going to tear it apart. There's no way that it can't. And you said that his family, the people close to him, are convinced that he's in the right place mentally, or he wouldn't be in there. But Matt and I were talking about it at the start of the stream, and the problem is this is the first fight week without her. No one can really know, least of all him, what that's going to be like.
Without a doubt, that's why. Listen, I've known his dad. We're about the same age, so I've known his dad for quite a while from the circuit. And I said to his dad earlier on, you know, just off the record, you know, what's he like? He said, Johnny, look, if there was any doubt at all, my boy wouldn't be fighting on Saturday. It wouldn't happen. I made sure I watched him. I've stuck to him like glue. I've been in the gym watching him spar. I'm comfortable where he is. And in a way, it's a kind of a distraction. He needs to let out that frustration. He needs to let out that emotion, and he needs to challenge it somewhere. And I think Saturday night is for him to challenge that, no matter what happens. And I'm quite sure after the fight, that emotion will come out. But I think he's just giving him something to focus on and put his mind onto. It's a very, very tricky balance to deal with, because you think, are we doing the right thing? I remember Buster Douglas fighting Mike Tyson. I think his mother died 10 days before, and it's just how you deal with it, and maybe he just needs this focus to try and move forward.
And Matt, just to finish with a quick one on Steed Woodall from you. I think you just gave a quick thumbs up there to Soggy Paul Coonahan, who's in the corner with his son. He's based out of Eastside. You know Eastside really, really well. We've been over there a couple of times ourselves, and they are always a team with a quiet confidence. They've always got this vibe about them, like they know something that we don't. They're confident.
Yeah, like I said, for the casuals, Steed Woodall might have gone under the radar. They might not know who he really is, but you know, I know who he is because he's from where I'm from, Birmingham. And if you're a real boxing fan, you'll know, because you'd have followed his progress as an amateur. He was top class. He probably, like I said, made a few bad decisions in terms of what direction he went when he turned pro. You know, over in America, no one really cared about him. Slung in a little bit, you know, but would have certainly learned a lot in those tough years, or tough upbringing, apprenticeship. And this is where, you know, he's missed out his years. It hasn't happened for him. But this is the sort of fight that can suddenly wipe those wasted years away. This is the fight that can catapult him onto a different stratosphere, onto a complete different direction. You know, Callum Simpson's the favourite. He's the guy who's got profile now. He's had momentum on Sky. He's banging out tickets. All of a sudden, he's a star in the making. And then if Steed Woodall can win there and nick that off him, that kind of wipes out that 4 years or 5 years of frustration where he didn't get the upbringing he would have liked.
Absolutely, it's snakes and ladders, isn't it? Yeah. We talk about that all the time. It's snakes and ladders. You're only as good as your last fight, and both of them in their last fights put on really good performances. Simpson was impressive against Zach Shelley, who's very difficult to handle a lot of the time, but then that win against Leroy Richards was absolutely huge for Steed Woodall. That concludes the action from the press conference. The action in the ring comes to you on Saturday night live on Sky Sports, but of course we still have the weigh-in tomorrow. That will get underway on the scales at 1 o'clock, so make sure you join us for that.